itself in Torah. And the God himself, the Bible uses the word to tell it is a kingly law. And the kingly law has to be the highest law, therefore it has to be a constitution. What we also saw too, when it comes to this law was written by the very finger of God. Again, confirming this is a law. You do not trifle with this. You don't weaken the contents of that law, because one man, the founding fathers would have put their laws together. Different nations, they have different people who write their constitution by man. The Ten Commandments was written with the very finger of God. That carries weight. It carries authority. It carries indictment. It carries all these different powerful things. And so God did not entrust this, because God was setting up the governments, or the principles of his government. And we have to also understand, brethren, when you're looking at the great controversy, many of us do not look at the great controversy from the argument as to the government of God and Satan, because Satan is anti-God's government. You watch all the governments here today, they are sold out, they are under control, the control of Satan. Satan is the God of this world, and because he's the God of this world, the laws that he gave to these people, because you want to change the world, you want world government, it is anti-God, anti-freedom. So he has a governmental structure himself in how he governs. Now we had looked at this law, and we had looked at certain points, and I spoke about 4 points that pertain to the law, because I'm just rehearsing. And we saw it is called in the Bible the whole law, and the word whole of course is the complete law. And I said that this law is complete because it is all encompassing in its demands, its requirements, its scale. This law is called the whole law, or complete law, because it takes in every sphere of man's human existence. No person can mark a law like that. There is no human being that can make a law that will take in all of man's existence. It is complete. It has all the relativity to man's existence. Nothing can be taken away, nothing can be added from this law. We also look at the law as the standard of righteousness. That we say all like commandments are righteousness. And we saw that because it carries the weight of righteousness, it therefore tells you that God is the one to determine what is right and what is sin. And we live in a world where we have something called purity. The philosophy of purity teaches that whatever you believe to be truth is your idea of truth, but truth is not subjected to what you purports, because that kind of thing is going to make truth be subjected to your preferences. And so suddenly it might be right to one and it might be wrong to others. Against the fact it destroys the very standard reality of the truth of the law of God. So God had to tell us what is righteousness. His very constitution is based upon righteousness. Right? We looked at that last time. We also look at the point that the law, it has, the Bible tells us, I think Solomon, the wisest man who is given that wisdom, said that the whole duty of man is to fear God and to keep his commandments. This is the whole duty. So the law of God, the Ten Commandments, in God's constitution, it outlines what is our duty to God and what is our duty to one another. Again, showing how important child and take it out of the womb, and you go in the streets and go and kill the child, the government will charge you in the courthouse because you killed the child outside in society, but you can do it in the womb. Does it make sense? Doesn't make sense. Because it's still the act of murder. So not because the child is outside in the womb you could do it. Sorry, not because the child is in the womb you could do it, but you could do it when you can't do it outside. You won't be able to do it anyhow because the maker is short of that. Yeah.
You know, the law is so crazy in certain jurisdictions, like in the United States. There are certain states that if you kill a woman and she's pregnant, they say you kill people. Right? But that same woman now could commit an abortion and she ain't kill nobody. So it's just crazy.
That is why we don't have foot to truth. God has let them leave to us to decide what is right. He himself said, in his law, thou shalt not kill. That is his righteousness, or his righteous standard of what is right. And then we talk about the sixth commandment, talk about lying, thou shalt not be a false witness, and perjury, and all things of a judicial nature, forgery, manipulation, misinformation, misrepresentation, because when they misrepresent situations and people, they're lying, they have no way to come around that. You have to say the truth as it is. You must say the truth. So the commandment taking that aspect of man's life. The tenth commandment, the 10th of the commandment, it takes in the act of covetousness and lust and greed and all the intent of the heart. So now people hiding what is the real value, but the Lord telling you in your heart is still wrong. In case you want to hide, you're pretending. It will deal with that. It deals with all of that. And then it talk about killing from the point of harmful foods, dietary nature, narcotics, pharmaceutical drugs, where they're giving us all these different things. When you, as a Seventh Adventist, go and take the vaccine, you cannot blame nobody but yourself. You killing yourself. You can't say the government killing you. You choose to kill yourself. They set up the plan to kill you, but you choose it because you went and take it. So God will hold you responsible. So we saw how wonderful this 10th commandment is. The nature of the 10th commandment itself is so wonderful because it is all inclusive of our sphere of life. And we'll cover that. But then we have to focus now upon the religious aspect. One of the things that we looked at the last time, we saw quite clearly that when it comes to the principles of God's government, we saw that the first 10 principles are of a religious nature. And this is important. And because the first 4 principles of the 10 commandments is of a religious nature. And when we look at this, we recognize after all that the fact that God himself is the lawgiver and he's talking about his constitution, we have to look and see what kind of constitution God has. And we look at the fact that God has a theocratic form of government. We look at that. And the word theocracy, it refers to a government by God or a deity, a government of a state by immediate divine guidance. So God could only have a theocracy. What other kind of government he could have? Universally, God's government is a universal theocratic government. And we had seen last time that he tried to do this with Israel, and Israel gave God a lot of problems. They wanted a king, they got King Saul, they eventually got King David, and the Bible told them what manner of kings they were supposed to have if they did that. So they rejected God in the days of Samuel, and so they didn't want a theocracy. We also went and see now, last time, that the government apart, because, so in other words then, theocracy is the highest form of the best government. Because if you get a government ruled by God, the psalmist David said in Psalms 33, let me just emphasize this wonderful text. Psalms 33 verse 12, he said, "Blessed is the nation whose God is Yahweh, and the people whom he hath chosen for his own inheritance." So theocracy is the best form of universal government. Because you can't be that. That is God himself. And it's a loving God that is ruling. Second to that, the only other government that God recognized is a republican form of government. And this is where America came in, because America's Constitution, it recognized republicanism, the rights of men, and it has blessed the world. So you could say what you want, do what you want, you could worship who you could worship a stone, you could worship whatever you want, but God will judge us. So that is the best government that men could do. And this is seen in Revelation 13, with America coming up as a lamb-like beast, having the 2 horns of religion and politics that is after Christ. So God recognized that. The other government that God does not recognize is communism. And this is seen in Revelation 11. Revelation 11 explains us the whole rise of a beast that come out in bottomless pit, and scarlet colored beast and blasphemy. And the Bible shows us, and even today we are dealing with that. Revelation 17, the globalism that we see all over the world is communism. So that is the government that God does not recognize. He does not recognize it because it is anti-God, anti-human rights, and we know what we are seeing that is happening all over the world under the rise of the New World Order. It is called the New World Order today. Right? So we see clear that God does not recognize that government. Okay, so then we came to the first commandment. This is where our study going to pick up, because we did the first commandment and we're going to begin with the second commandment. But I'm just going to rehearse back the principles of the first commandment we had looked at. And the first commandment tells us that thou shalt have no other gods before him. And we had to work out what was Yahweh saying, what is the truth that is hidden in this clause, because this clause is very comprehensive. This clause have implication. It is exceedingly broad. So what then did we get when God tells us we should not have any gods before him? And this, remember that this constitutional law is to govern all the world. So if you go to another planet, another world, this is the same thing. They will be told the same thing. Don't have any gods but Yahweh. That is what they are being told. So it means that he, God, Yahweh, is saying he's God alone. He's actually saying, don't have any gods before me. So he's saying, therefore, that Yahweh is God alone. It implies that all other gods is not God. But we know that they are pantheistic God. And the word pantheistic refers to gods that are, or creations that are considered God. That's what pantheism is. Pantheism is where everything is God. Pan, all, theism, God. All is God. Therefore, all creation are gods. So we are seeing quite clearly that when the Bible forbids us from having gods, it is saying you must not have pantheistic gods, because any god that will exist, it has to be a creation. It has to be a god that is a creation, whether you want to worship Baal or Semiramis or whoever. It's a woman, it's a man, or whatever you're worshiping. It is a creation. So then, and this is true because there are only two existing reality, that is God, and everything is creation. So the commandment therefore attacks pantheism. That is the exaltation of any creation to be God. So all the gods of the nations are idols. The Bible tells us that. You're familiar with the text? Okay?
I just want to make a point, just a little bit.
Yeah.
What is being said as well, in that particular clause, what is that monotheistic?
Exactly. Yes, this is it. Yes.
I have to repeat that question because
All
everybody hears
right.
all
So
this.
Sister Cynthia is saying that the commandment is really teaching monotheism. That's the point. That's the next point here. It means the commandment, it means in this commandment, God is establishing monotheism, universal monotheism. Here, Israel, the Lord our God is one God, oneness, mono. Only one, listen, only one God you could have. Only you can have two gods. So you say we have the three persons of the Godhead, they have one divine nature. We understand that theology. But God is one. The only thing that is one is God. Seriously speaking, the only thing in the whole universe that is one is God. But everything else is creation. So monotheism, is it amazing? The very commandments telling you what is your theology. This is a monotheism is to rule the whole universe. It will rule every planet. If you go on a planet that God exists, they will have to tell you monotheism. If they only say God is not one, they will end up like Earth planet in sin. They will end up in sin. So monotheism, sister, you follow me? You sure you, I see you watch me, understand what I say? Right, ask me a question if you get lost, because here we're looking like monotheism. It simply means one. Mono means one, theism means God. That's what the word means. Right? So monotheism is what the very clause, the first clause of the 10th commandment. It is telling you what is your theology for the whole world. The world's theology is supposed to be monotheism. Now, funny enough, Brother Antoine, Islam say Allah is one. Right, one, right. But they have the wrong God. So they have an idea that God is supposed to be one, but they attribute it to the wrong cell of creation, a moon god. Right? So they still, while they have the idea it's supposed to be so. If you apply it to the raw to creation, you still going to be sin.
But the honest it's one God, but the one God is revealed in two persons. So while we understand is one God, the persons have the same divine nature.
Yes, amen. Yes.
But Tonya and I was talking with a Muslim lady this morning on the field, and she was making the point. She said, Jesus is not God. So the understanding is God is one, yes. You understand me? But this one God, in other words, God how Islam has it, God can't relate to man. But so I had to tell her, I said, well, if you're a Muslim and you say that you believe Jesus is a prophet, okay? The Quran tells you as a Muslim you're supposed to believe in the Injil, the Zabur, the Al-Hikmah, the Torah, which is the Bible in its entirety.
Yes.
So if you claim to believe in the Bible tells you, Jesus said before Abraham was I am. So if you believe in the Bible, how come you're accepting that? Why are you saying he's a prophet when the Bible, the Quran telling you and pointing you back to the book, and they say the people are the book and follow the people are the book and they had the truth. So if the book telling you that Jesus is saying on his own testimony, I am, which means the self-existing one God, how are you accepting that?
Yes, exactly.
When you're accepting that, she can't say nothing.
And why you taking
Or she could say, well, Jesus is not God.
And why you taking off Christians' head and they believe in what the Prophet Muhammad and all say about Christ? Yes. Yeah, Brother Troy?
Yeah, I just want to say, based upon what the brother was saying, scholars have shown that the so-called Prophet Muhammad had different ideas at different points of time in his existence. So in the early time, he would have believed that he had followed the people of the book, and then later on in his life now, he would have had teaching against those kind of different things and saying these people are infidels and the Jews and the Christians are infidels. So this man he's clearly psychotic. You know? But I just want to put one quick scripture, because you're talking about monotheism, and then he talk about people, Islam saying that Jesus is not God. But there's so many scriptures that talk about it, but I'm quoting a scripture, people didn't even think that the scripture showed the deity of Christ, but I don't think it's 2 John 9, here's what it says. It says, here's what the scripture says, whosoever transgresseth and abideth not in the doctrine of Christ hath not God. Right? So you say, have not God. Here's what it goes on to say. He that abideth in the doctrine of Christ, he hath both the Father and the Son. So it contrasts. You don't have the doctrine of Christ, you don't have God. And then it goes on to say now, if you have the doctrine of Christ, you have the Father and the Son. The Father and the Son is God.
Amen.
Just one quick point to say that, Muslims will tell you that Christians believe in 3 gods. You understand me? Which we don't. We believe in one God as revealed. Now the same Quran, while they say Allah is Ahad, which means one, yet still if you read the Quran in the Surah, you will see where you talk about we and us. Once I asked a Muslim teacher that, because I have 10 different things, they make book all kind of things. So I said, well, if you look at the Quran, use that teacher, right? What does we and us? Is it singular or plural? He said, well, it's plural. I said, well, how come you're saying Allah is Ahad one? And how come the Quran talking in the plural? He said, I have to go back and ask him now.
That is true. They cannot answer that.
You can answer that. The Quran tells you claim that if Allah we do this and we do that, we are not singular, we is plural.
So the writer explain it out and they say it's majestic one, not numerical one.
What is it?
No, what I can rush away the Quran say one can never be we and us. One is one.
Amen. Right. So we saw that the first commandment, therefore, is teaching monotheism, the reality that God is God alone and therefore one God. So Moses said, "Hear, Israel, the Yahweh our God is one." You see on the other text. And with that, the concept of monotheism, it means that it will forbid the worship of other gods. It therefore will forbid the worship of creation, because other gods is comprised of creation. And this will take in the point. If you want to practice worship of creation as nature worship, which is called animism, and animism is a belief that there is a spirit innate in creation. So don't think when a person watching nature and they're worshiping and they just figure they're thinking about they're worshiping the moon. They have a concept, it's a philosophy to justify that. And because to them there's a spirit in creation, you see, and that's how it seems logical, but it is really illogical, you see, because it will still tell you worship the creation, and therefore it will make God, who is spirit, like if he is innate in creation, and he's separate from creation, brother. This is the next part of Buddhism. Is that God is not innate in pantheism.
God in the boots and God in the cup and God in the pot and God in the pan.
And if the spirit that God is in creation, then it justifies why you can worship the creation.
Of course.
And you will go back to worshiping creation. So Satan have a way to get it to worship by the creation without logic.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we look and we laugh and think it has no logic. They have a logic. Logic don't mean it is right. Right? Somebody was saying something? Yeah.
And I just want to say something. There's a new thing that is going on in society now, where people try not to offend people in organizations by using a particular term.
Yeah.
So sometimes you'll hear people use this term, I hear that a lot, sometimes in circles that I am in, where people speak about, and God, well, if you don't want to say God, you can say the universe. That's a term that they use now. So it's a kind of encompassing term to say, well, if you don't believe in God like me, you believe in the universe is God. It's dangerous.
It's pantheistic terminology.
Yeah.
Pantheistic terminology.
It's a kind of pluralistic way to speak in society.
Satan.
People say, well, God or the universe. And
all kind of different things.
That's why when we're speaking, we have to be specific.
Specific.
And let them know why we're saying God, then you know who we're talking about. We identify what we're talking about.
Exactly, God.
Even Adventists sometimes, some of us, we're so weak. They would ask you to come and pray, but they tell the Muslims, etc., so they don't want to offend. So they wouldn't say in Jesus' name, God. So they generalize it, so you won't offend.
What concept of God you have?
They tell you leave God alone. You understand? Because you're not representing rightly. You're afraid to say who you're talking about. Leave them alone.
And the difference between that is that God is the living God. The Bible tells you that. All the gods of the nation, the Bible says idols. It tells us that. But it's contrasting, he is the living. He's not an idol. He's not a being that he dwells innately in creation. He is a living, as well as we will say, the personal God. Because that's an extent they're attacking, but they're attacking the personality of God. When God does not destroy, they're attacking that part. That's an study for the rest of give, right? So, with polytheism, it would mean, with monotheism, it will destroy polytheism, right? And that will include the worship of any gods. Seen in the Greek religion have so much of gods. You have Mars, you have Venus, you have Aphrodite, you have different gods. Hinduism have the same thing. You have Shiva, you have Buddha, you have Vishnu. All the pagan religions, the Canaanite religions, Hinduism have thousands of gods. Catholicism, yes, exactly. All the saints are really gods. The saints are gods. Mary is not even the Virgin Mary, is Aphrodite. Semiramis, we know that. So, which are religions that purport the worship of many gods for different purposes, right? And so we have Diana, the goddess of fertility, and all these different gods. So, the first commandment, you notice, it is destroying all these philosophies. It destroying, or rather, philosophies or theology. It destroying it by establishing monotheism. And therefore, it is saying all the others have no right to exist. Whatever justification you may bring, it is not supposed to exist as far as God is concerned. So, universally, monotheism is supposed to be the religion of the whole universe under theocratic government. If you think about this, brethren, listen, it's wonderful. You will have no false religion in the new world to come. No false religion. You see? So, it also destroys astrology, because astrology is the worship of heavenly bodies such as stars and planets. And Moses talk about don't look up to the sun and don't bow down. Job talk about when you see the sun and if you kiss and you worship, you kiss, it will be worshiping the sun. So sun worship is forbidden, right? Or from the basis of astrology. Even horoscope. I remember a long time when I was small, I didn't want to leave home until I read my horoscope. It's amazing, but ignorance, time of ignorance goes away. Thank God I get the truth now.
People get into relationships based upon horoscope.
But exactly.
They say, when you use a cancer,
right, exactly. All that is real craziness, pantheism. It's terrible.
And the time to marry, etc. is based on
How
what
it's
you know.
called, yes.
Everything is based.
Exactly.
Planets must align.
Yeah,
That
this
is true.
must happen and that had to happen.
Yes, and when things going bad, it wasn't aligned properly,
Yeah,
and it was
not
just a
gonna-
crazy thing, you know. But it just shows you how pantheistic it is when people reject monotheism. You see, this is what you have. So you'll also have sun worship, as the sun being worship itself, but the day of the sun, which is Sunday, it will take into consideration you can't have Sunday. Sunday is a pantheistic concept or pantheistic deity that is involved, right? All false religion, as Islam, whether it is Allah or Buddhism or African religions with their false god, all are forbidden by this commandment with the exaltation of false god. Therefore, in God's universal kingdom, there will never be false religion in the universe. Even the worship of Satan, Satanism, witchcraft, Wicca, Theosophy, necromancy, spiritualism, all that is forbidden in the first commandments. And it's amazing. You know, we have read this commandment, say yes as children, and we don't work the deduction. We haven't worked out what it was saying. Listen, look how much I think that first commandment attack. If we establish monotheism, you know, all them things gone. You see what will happen to the world? All them religion gone, all them pastors or proponents of these, all the people who believe that all that will be destroyed by the first commandments. How powerful is the commandment? You see what I'm saying, brethren? And that's why David said, meditate upon the Lord day and night. God, in his mercy, he has to be great to mark one commandment, one clause to destroy all that philosophy. It wipe out the people who would believe that. If he had to destroy all of them, there's a lot of people who would get destroyed. But in his universe, he is establishing religion. This is what I'm saying. The 10 Commandments, they are not just religious for just our earth. It is religion for the world. Religion for his whole universal kingdom. It is a religion for angels. It is a religion for other worlds. They must believe in monotheism. They have to have that. And therefore it will destroy the possibility of these philosophies or theology coming about.
It has to be, because just
Has
as
to be.
Satan rise up in heaven and say worship me. In our next part of the universe, they could say the same thing, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
They could say, well, look,
Right.
we have a God here. So the law, the bars that.
Exactly.
The law should cleanse the
Amen.
universe. The creator is your God, and you are not allowed
he's
to call
one.
everything else God.
Exactly, because when Satan said, when we read Ezekiel or Isaiah, I will be like the Most High, and this is a creation. You see it called sinner? You see how the sin comes? It means in any world, that especially where you have intelligent being, if they only teach that, let's say whoever is their maybe governor, and I'm using the word governor for their world, and their governor come and say, and let's say he's not an angel, he's some other being, and he say, listen, I am God, you know, the sin will start again.
Of course, because the possibility
stand
exists.
back,
The
yeah.
possibility exists. That is why the law is really universal, and it
Beautiful.
bars any part of
Anything.
God's universe to do it.
And
Because
it protects you
that's
from
the
that.
point. So what happened in heaven in the midst of God's show with Satan, that
Yeah.
could have flown over to any other, and people, the other nation, thank God they didn't, but they could have said, yeah, they crucified God too, you know.
But you remember what Edomai said? Edomai said Satan went to the other worlds
Yeah, it
to
could have
get
happened.
them to believe that, you know, and they rejected. It is Adam and Eve that give, and he took control of man.
So why they adhere
see?
to the law
Yeah.
that says there's one God, and they understand there's one God, and we are forbidden to have anything as God. They say no, we want no part of
That is it.
The word say we got join in it. You know, and today we in this state,
Look
but
at the
it
state
really
that
is
we
a
in.
law that prohibits
And
every
it's a
false worship and
protective,
everything.
it is a
protection.
protective law.
Yeah.
And that is why you can
It's called a
understand,
hedge.
it is a hedge. And that is why you can understand why our earth is a lesson book. So God let this, you know, because he could have stopped this, you know. Don't think God can stop it. He could have destroyed Satan and destroyed angels and everything. And you know, brethren, I was watching, and Sister White was saying, listen, brethren, let me tell you something, it's more angels than we think. It's a lot of angels, man, you know. Thousands. I read one occasion, Sister White said 2/3. I read a quotation where Sister White said 2/3 of angels that fall. It's not no hundred. I think I read another quotation, but I was showing you that in another. I have to try and get it back. And I think-
Remember
Right.
somebody
Right, okay. But something I read, I don't go back and read that. But the point is, it's not no 1,000 angels.
No, no,
It's not
no,
no 1,000. It's in the realm of millions. It is angels of ranking angel because it are generals, it are big boys, it are small boys, it are all kind of angels. And it's really, listen, he fooled them in such a way that he caused them to sin. And some of course they turn back because Sister White did say some of them, God gave them a chance and some of them recanted. But some of them commit themselves to go with him. So the worship of Satan is forbidden. This clause of the first commandment is so powerful, brethren, that it will preserve the world. It will preserve the world. Yes, Sister Goodness?
I was wondering, right?
Yeah.
Since God is the creator, Satan is not the creator. On what basis then would a person choose him? Because they deceive and they don't understand that he is not the creator and he cannot give life. He's fighting to prolong his existence right now. I mean, what basis would one want to worship him for in the first place?
Yeah, you see, this is the Bible calls it the mystery of iniquity. So to try to understand it, you're going into a realm where it does not make sense but maybe you see how Satan did it and how he said it. Because for example, how he said it, I agree.
No matter how he said, you see the law was already telling them to protect them.
Yes.
And if they are not here, they will not listen to him.
Yeah.
So you see the head
but the song is simple, and what we say is true, but it's not, it didn't play out like that. Because they listen, brother, hold on, the angels are more intelligent than us. They're superior physically, they're superior intellectually. And they saw God, we never see, look at us, we hardly himself see an angel. Half of us, right? The most of my guys are a little dream. Although Sister White did say they will come in human flesh, you know, but you will still see them in human form. But you have to understand that it's not as, well, I'm not justifying it. Don't think I'm justifying it. I'm saying the way in which it would come, it will because it showed on people who are intellectually stronger than us.
But Sister Debbie, and we have the same issue today,
right,
because
yes,
the Lord,
right,
the same law that Almighty Yahweh gives to protect them. When he pronounced, thou shalt not do that, they know thou shalt not have no other God.
Yes,
so
exactly.
we don't, whether you don't have the whether you don't have the intellectual capacity as they have or not, the issue is God already showed.
Yes,
you understand?
And I agree.
Thou shalt have no other God. So if you, no matter what intellect you have, it means to say you decide with the intellect that God gives you to disobey God.
Yeah, no excuse.
It's a excuse. And I was have an excuse, you know.
Yes. You see, hold on. You see, one of the things we have to understand, what's the be saying about what Sister White said. Sister White say, herein is the mystery of iniquity. Not mystery as it cannot be perceived, it can be understood. She showed the foundation where it lies on. Understand? It's how he entered into your mind. It's the same thing Satan does to you and I today. How he reasoned with them is the problem. He first presented the argument of what he is, his position with God, and then showed them what they are and their position to him. So he got three things from them. He got their sympathy, false sympathy. You understand? He made them have partiality, which means therefore against God. You understand?
God was unjust.
And then now therefore he increased therefore their prejudice. So each time light come from God, he increased their prejudice more. He increased it more and gained the sympathy. This is why you see false sympathies are dangerous thing for Christians to have. Well, brother, you say that, but I understand what the brother say and I understand. And truth person, you know.
But you know,
truth person, when a person want to follow on. So put it this way, as brother said, the law of God is the foundation of everything, and that is all that he needed to stick to. Is the same thing he did to Eve. He said, didn't God say? And so she said, yes, God said. But you see, had she obeyed God's law, don't go there.
Amalekah, she didn't even recognize he was the enemy.
You understand? You don't know how he appeared to you. Do not separate from your husband. She was unconscious of it, and then she appeared by a tree. From the time you reach there, you get a strange foreboding. Flee.
She never saw.
You understand? But you see again, God and Sister White made a statement that when man sinned, when the controversy entered, God made a pact with Jesus Christ. We will save man, but we will not interfere with their choices. But we will do everything possible to pursue and persuade their decisions. It's the same thing with angels. So when you follow error, you reprimand yourself.
And let me just
You reprimand your reasoning that God put the truth. God will do nothing that makes truth seem to be superseding what He is. Error cannot supersede the reasons of God. But if you don't follow the reasons of the truth, you will fall into the error.
But
So Lucifer is a pack of lies.
What I was trying to think this out for you, because you see, think about sin events in a perfect world. You're thinking about Lucifer, who have that role, that special role of millions of angels under him. Right? He understood God more than others. And you have the Father and you have the Son, and Jesus going into the counsel of the Father. And then you have, remember, he was teaching them truth, he was sharing truth, he understood God more than them. So when you say something, I'm not justifying. Listen to me carefully. When you say something, they could always figure too, maybe that is a revelation of truth. Because remember, we are looking from a contrast. But this, and I'm not saying it's right for them to do it, they should uphold God's will. But we're trying to see how this thing works. One of the arguments Sister White said that Satan told him is that listen, God, he's keeping you back from the